Hello and welcome to another drawing on Practice Active Imagination by the great genius Carl Gustav Jung, where we're going to focus on number one, concentrate helps to grow the mind. Number two, focus on a dream. Very important. Dreams are there for many reasons, but you, in your dreaming process, you might be able to get answers to situations in life that are complex and they come about in your dream and they give you some sort of resolution or they give you some sort of guidance, okay? So pay attention to your dreams. Number three, let the unconscious speak. Number four, generate an artifact on paper. Here we go, an artifact on paper. Analyze the message and practice, okay? This is my pretty much my daily routine of doing a self-portrait with a model and tapping into what I call the scaffold of Carl Gustav Jung. We start with the ego, the subconscious, the collective unconscious. So we have the collective, then we go down to the anima, the female, animas, the self-portrait, male and female. Here I have my exciting shadow. So anima, self, shadow. So when you do shadow work, the more shadow work you do, the more you're able to refine and define yourself, what I call the self-portrait. Not what you see in the mirror, but what you see in the intrinsic self, your feelings and emotions, and how you are entangled with that emotional side of you. Today we're determining that intelligence, EQ, emotional quotient, it's more important than IQ, right? We're determining that IQ, intelligent quotient, is secondary to emotional. How you deal with stress, how you deal with anger. Here's a knife up there. Here's my mother. How you deal with others and others in you, and how do you resolve being with others and others being with you. And we're not talking about, this hippy dippy granola mentality of letting things go and looking the other way. No, dealing with the self. And the self would be dealing with the shadow work, not running away from it, not being in denial, and be able to come back to this incredible entanglement, which is you, your shadow, your anima and your animas. And you would find yourself after doing shadow work, and then you would run into an archetype, okay? Okay? Now, really interesting. Something happened to me the other day that was very fascinating. I think it's interconnected with a trauma that I experienced when I was a kid with my mother. My uncle, Pepe, was a butcher, and I must have been like 4 or 5 years old. And anyway, I'm kind of hyperventilating here. Mom and I, we went to see Uncle for meat. We were going to get, steaks, what have you, burgers, ground beef. And the knife that my uncle was using, he left it on the butcher table, fell and went into my mom's ankle. The knife went right through the ankle. So we had to put my mom in the car and take her to the hospital. And I was very traumatic with that experience of the knife, to the point that if I see a knife out that's real sharp, I put it away. I'm very careful when I'm around people, always to point the knife on the opposite direction of a person, basically pointing down. So this is really interesting. I buy a bread. I'm in New York. I buy a bread that is sourdough bread. It's very delicious, but it's a big giant sourdough bread, and I have to cut it with a serrated knife, and it's very dangerous when you're getting to like more than half of the bread. So the other day I was cutting, and I have a cutting board that has wheels on it, and I slipped with tremendous power that I was cutting. Look how interesting. I am right-handed, but here I did the drawing with my what? Letting my unconscious speak. My Carl Jung drawing on paper, letting my unconscious speak. So I'm having the serrated knife. The serrated knife moved, and I felt the point of the serrated knife almost hit my penis. Not almost, hit my penis tip. The tip of the knife hit the tip of my penis. I was able to control the power of cutting into the bread, which the bread has a very thick crust. By the time it got here, I felt like there was a force, a counter force, stopping the knife from what? Basically castrating me, right? My mother was a very, my mom had really crazy behavior, right? Very crazy behavior. And when she would get angry and she would be doing stuff in the kitchen, she was always utilized the knife as a symbol to attack. She would start getting really angry and pointing the finger at people and holding the finger almost like a weapon, and we would all freak out, okay? The knife has been psychoanalyzed in my therapy work, where the knife has it's double-edged sword for me, where not only did she tie me up with all her burdens and all her crazy ass behavior, she was not able to control her stress and her anger, so everything was pushed on us. And but the knife was utilized for me to be able to cut my ties with my mother. And it's interesting. Here it will be an anima, the animas, the mother, the divine feminine, the mother figure. Her pubic is here, her pubic, her vagina. Right here where the knife handle is, I'm holding the knife, and it's actually, the knife is going into the area of my pubic, of my genitalia. And look what's pushing it out, my shadow. So when I did this drawing, I had a triad. I had me, the real, the imaginary, my shadow, my mother, the divine feminine, the divine, the empress, and here you can tell how elevated she is, where she can actually look at me with her refined eye, right? Let me be adventurous around my space, but she always controls my space with her weapon, right? But this time my shadow was here to rescue me from what? My mother castrating me. Maybe it came out in the drawing. Maybe Jung is right. Let the unconscious speak. Let the shadow do the shadow work. So the shadow will be there not as an enemy, but will be there as your best friend. You and your shadow have been together since the first breath to the last breath in the three-dimensional world. Thank you for watching.